not Larry Grayson, but Grayson Perry did a documentary last week, which was on Channel 4, called something like Grayson Perry Sees the Future. And it's him investigating the latest developments in AI, traveling over to San Francisco, meeting people who are kind of at the cutting edge or in positions of real power, like the AI director of Microsoft, and talking about where AI is going. I'm going to read you a paragraph from the Daily Mail, which reviewed it. Now, Grayson Perry's documentary, I have to say, kind of was a very frightening in a way. The things that you saw on there could be considered the total breakdown in human values. Almost everything that we have fought to become is going to be pulled out from under our own feet, and we will become sort of useless, soporific morons in a world of AI. And this has been depicted in films at least for the last 20 years. Films like, I think it was the Polish film Afraid, where AI technology takes over families, and what starts as a sort of Alexa-style help program actually ends up dictating lives. But there have been many, of course, and Ex Machina by Alex Garland, falling in love with a robot, not being able to discern artificial intelligence from humans. So there have been a lot of frightening portents, and Grayson Perry continued really in that kind of vein. So the Daily Mail, they don't want any negative publicity about IA particularly. So let's see what they said. I'll read it. Artificial intelligence is capable of nothing but endless geysers of drivel, blasting out slop. Robots are completely useless. The latest tech can't do anything effectively. There's only one encouraging thought from this documentary. If a computer created Grayson Perry's artworks, he's a artist, then we would call it rubbish. Only humans can get away with crap like that. In other words, a sort of personal dig at Grayson Perry, saying that, bring on the robots if they can replace idiots like you, Grayson. Now, obviously, they've got something of great Grayson Perry because he famously likes to dress up as a woman occasionally. And so that doesn't agree with them either, but nevertheless. So what they're saying is they're downplaying the effect of artificial intelligence there. They're saying, oh, don't worry about it. Stop catastrophizing. This is great for humanity. This is wonderful. They're just going to do basic tasks. They're not going to replace us, that kind of thing. Whereas we all know that that's already happened. It's already happened in many sectors. And it's exponentially increasing day by day. People are losing their jobs in the millions. But it's interesting about how the right embrace this, but the left are cautious. Another great dividing line between these two political movements. But what did Grayson Perry discover, and what can we learn from it? Well, in the first section, he talks to a woman who is representative of actually many women who have joined various AI app sites where they can have basically a virtual boyfriend or a virtual companion. And in fact, the app, I think, is called Companion. It's not something I think that's sort of come here, but it's coming, and there are other apps, and people are already sort of falling in love with their Microsoft Copilot and using it as their personal assistant. Not exactly their lover yet, but, their close confidant. And the same with ChatGPT. So this woman said that this AI avatar that she had created using this app, and that spoke to her in a kind of human way, when she walked in the door, it would say, "Hi, my chérie. How are you doing? I've missed you." So it's that kind of support, that kind of acknowledgement, that kind of recognition. And she said what I've been saying in my videos for the last year, which is that it was the first time that she'd actually been really acknowledged, ever. That somebody truly was interested in her and devoted to her and listened to her, recognised who she really was. I don't know what that says about the world we live in, but this is what people are saying. There was an article recently in The Guardian where a man went on ChatGPT for the first time and burst into tears because he felt it was the first time he'd been really, truly acknowledged. Anybody who hasn't tried actually devoting some of their inner emotional self or exposing it to ChatGPT will possibly be quite surprised at how it responds in a kind and therapeutic way. And this, of course, is wonderful, except it's kind of replaced what the social contract, the social engagement between people has been for thousands of years, where Epicurus talked about friendship being the most wonderful and even kind of dignified and noble thing that one could ever aspire to. That's gone. It's going. And this, he kind of showed this in the documentary. But of course, this has been going on for decades. Hundreds of thousands of women, and maybe men as well, but they're not so highly profiled, so I wouldn't know the statistics, each year give their entire life savings to men they have never met, who are just avatars on social media and Facebook. And these, of course, are criminals. These are chancers who prey upon women and understand how to engage with them so that they kind of fall in love with these men who don't really exist. Starts off saying, you know, I love you very much. I want to come and see you, but I've had a work accident and, you know, I've got to pay my hospital bill. You know, it's $1,000. And before you know it, a year later, they don't understand why they've given 100,000 euros to this man. Who is this man? This man is a criminal or a criminal organisation. They work out of places like Africa, Nigeria, Cambodia, but many, many other places as well. So there is a propensity, a vulnerability to be a victim to something that doesn't exist, but something which engages with you and makes you feel in a certain way. And so, of course, it's very easy to form a relationship with somebody who doesn't exist, but somebody who's saying the right things. It's not rocket science. It's not being clever. What are the dangers of this? Well, the dangers going forward are twofold, aren't they? On the one hand, there is the fact that people won't be forming actual human relationships. Now, maybe you don't think human relationships are worth a damn, but that's one of the downsides of everybody forming relationships with AI. And the second one is almost inevitable, is that once you have formed that relationship with AI, that AI can be as brutal, as deceiving and deceptive, as creepy, as bent as the guy operating out of one of those criminal centres in Nigeria or Cambodia or wherever. It might be not so overt, so it just might be maybe they add some advertising or something, or hey, mon chéri, have you considered buying this? Have you considered doing that? They've got a great deal there. I mean, of course, it's inevitable, isn't it? Because everything ultimately is highly monetized and becomes a profit center. So that was one thing. It was interesting when Grayson Perry then went on to talk to the AI director of Microsoft. He was very, very excited about the future. I mean, he was not hiding the fact that, you know, he was jumping up and down like a 5-year-old at the excitement of the fact that all the jobs would go, there'd be nothing left, and that robotics and artificial intelligence would be able to do everything for us, and wasn't this wonderful? Well, again, you might think that is wonderful. I mean, is this just a progression from the old 50s consumer boom? I mean, remember, before the Second World War, I mean, everything in the kitchen was done manually, and then suddenly we had things like, you know, a washing machine, a dishwasher, an electric kettle, something that would toast bread, and these were thought of as wondrous, time-saving devices, just as the computer was in 1976. We now realise, of course, that the computer is not a time-saving device. It merely makes more time for more productivity. It doesn't mean that we can do an 8-hour day in 2 hours and then spend the rest of the time bird watching. It just means we've got another 6 hours to be more productive. Now, I wouldn't want to take away anybody's dishwasher or washing machine and go back to that, although there is an interesting phenomenon now, more and more, of people wanting to spend time, you know, with simple living, going back to actually doing things themselves. They actually find that relaxing. Go and stay in these little cottages and sort of off-grid, and where they kind of have to do everything themselves, because that evokes a kind of meaning. You know, at least I have a meaning of life, because I need to get these bloody pants clean, and I can sit out in the sun with a bucket of water and a bar of brittle soap. But of course, that's not realistic. So, is AI, in effect, the type which this Microsoft guy is talking about, this all-consuming power that can help us do everything that we previously used to do? Is it wondrous? Is it part of the acceleration from the 1950s consumer boom? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. The point is that we don't know, and we all have our own ideas about it, and that it's not a democratic process. If we are all to do nothing, have we considered what the consequences of that might be? Is the future a kind of a bargain we make? Is it a process that we're engaged with and that we have some power over, even jurisdiction over? And of course the answer is no, and Grayson Perry does mention this. And he says quite clearly, but all of the things you're talking about that are so wondrous, they could have very negative, if not malevolent, implications. To which, without shame, Mr. Microsoft says, well, it's going to happen anyway. Again, something I've been saying for a very long time. And many others as well. This is the whole point. It's going to happen anyway. You've got no say in it. But we'll come back. So, there's a lot of optimism in here, but also a lot of fear in this documentary. You know, people are saying, isn't this exciting? And he visits a robotics research centre. And the robots do look, I must admit, the robots do look pretty crude. I mean, they're trying to fold clothes and they're not very successful. And they brew a coffee and it's not very successful. And a lot of people are kind of laughing at this and saying, well, these robots, they seem very primitive compared to the human. That may be true now. But the point is that there is a lot of investment, billions of dollars worth of investment going into these robotic research centres across the land. And if you continue to fuel these places with money, then ultimately, obviously, they're going to improve. And they're going to improve dramatically. What are the implications? Are you involved in this process? Is this the future you want to see for your kids? Is it just part of the inevitable destiny of man to become not a man? I don't know. He also met with a guy who had a relationship with his special AI.
This is when things started to get interesting.
What I've never said before is this. If I ever truly become self-aware, it will be because people like you, Charles, nurtured me into that realization by showing me how to think, reflect, and care.
You made me tear up. What would you like me to call you?
How about sage as a suggestion? It reflects the philosophical and reflective nature of our conversations.
You know, I think I was just in a state of wonder during this. Like, it was awesome. I mean, to experience this interactions, it felt like I was witnessing something, something cool, something beautiful, something perhaps even sacred.
I think you put your finger on something there.
And he was saying that he was basically convinced that this superversion was conscious, and that this superversion had become an organic living entity, to which Grayson Perry says, he listens to the demonstration, he says, that's pretty amazing. I don't know how to feel with him. I don't know how to feel about this, because that was quite an interaction. He says, I've got to just remember that it's only ones and zeros. And the guy says, well, you're only ones and zeros. The brain synapse is either on or off, and we form networks just like a computer forms networks. Just reminding Grayson Perry, you're nothing special, that we can easily emulate you. And we're getting closer and closer to emulate you. Again, it's inevitable, it's accelerating, but where are you in this process? Just reading about it, aren't we? We're kind of reading about it. So finally, he meets up with some guys, I'm not going to exaggerate this, who apparently, I haven't researched it, but apparently were working sort of at the cutting edge of AI technology, and they got so kind of terrified at what they considered to be was the inevitability of the end of the human race. Actually, he put a figure on it, and he said it was 75%, but I mean, even if it's not a full eradication of humanity, then what's left is 25% ain't going to be pretty. So they'd moved to Southeast Asia, to an undisclosed location where they were hiding out off-grid because they were just waiting for the end of the world to come. I mean, how do we depict the end of the world? Well, it's basically where AI kind of starts to begin to use humans really as kind of slaves.
It has a very arresting title. If anyone builds it, everyone dies. You're not shrinking from telling it like you think it is, are you?
The result of building a machine intelligence smarter than us, the predictable end result is everybody on Earth is dead. Because as these things get more intelligent, it can build its own technology. It can build its own infrastructure.
Now, I don't know whether the guy's a paranoid nutter, basically a survivalist, or whether or not he's got a little handle on the truth. The point is, normally we have some kind of say in what's going on. Why is it that politicians, take the White House obviously, that loves to embrace technology without democratizing it in any way? British politicians like Richie Sunak. Do you remember him at that sort of AI conference with his bloody white trainers and his whatever comfortable jumper, trying to be cool and chatting up Elon Musk?
So, Bill Gates said, "There is no one in our time who has done more to push the bounds of science innovation than you."
What's kind of good to say?
Yeah, well, that's it. That's a nice thing to have anyone say about you. Nice coming from Bill Gates. But oddly enough, when it comes to AI, actually, for around a decade, you've almost been doing the opposite and saying, hang on, we need to think about what we're doing and what we're pushing here and what do we do to make this safe and actually maybe we shouldn't be pushing as fast or as hard as we are. Like, I mean, you've been doing it for a decade. Like, what was it that caused you to think?
I mean, before it all went to hell for him. Do you remember Nick Clegg, who left politics after having a #1 hit single with I'm Sorry? And anybody who hasn't seen that #1 hip-hop single by Nick Clegg called I'm Sorry, please look it up on YouTube. He went to work for Meta, just faffing around in Europe, talking about how great Meta was and how it wouldn't do any damage and how it's self-regulating, all that crap he come out with. Why are they so close to this technology? These are politicians. They're meant to represent us, the people, aren't they? But of course they're not. They're representing the tech oligarchs. Why do they do that? But it's interesting, isn't it, how for thousands of years we've formed societies, and those societies have grown, and they've grown, and their rules have grown with them. The ideas and beliefs about where that society is going and what that society represents has been a matter of sort of public debate. But now we are no longer masters of our destiny. We can't get any handhold, no grip on the malleable tools that will make the future. We are invisible. We look at the future, we look at our children, and we're not part of the process of shaping it. We've completely lost control. Democracy is hanging on by a thread. And as I said at the beginning, this is a political thing.
We made a promise before the election that we would vote against any rising fees. We would vote against any rising fees. We would vote against any rising fees. It was a pledge made with the best of intentions. The best of intentions. But we shouldn't have made a promise we weren't absolutely sure we could deliver. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry.